Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the Citizen Skyhawk Eco Drive Blue Angels Edition. First off, though, I want to thank very much my buddies over at the Diamond Factory in Ann Arbor, Michigan, for giving me a great deal on this guy in exchange for a mention. That's a beautiful thing. It makes it more possible to do watch reviews. They're really freaking expensive, and so I appreciate that very much. Next thing, let's do a little size comparison here. This guy is freaking huge. We can compare it, actually, first off, to the watch that is on my wrist right here. This is the Breitling Aerospace, which is, in some ways, a watch aimed at a similar niche, the pilot-y types. Here it is against your Omega Planet Ocean, Seamaster Planet Ocean, that is. So another really large watch, 100%. Here it is against an Omega Aqua Terra Quartz. I'm sorry, no, this is a Monta Triumph. The Aqua Terra Quartz is over here. Either way, there it is against the Monta Triumph here. And then finally against a nice inexpensive quartz piece, the Citizen, also by Citizen, BM8180. And let's do a little bit of measurement as well, just so you can get a sense of the true enormity of this freaking watch here. In terms of across the crown here, across the diameter, we're coming in someplace around the 48 realm, maybe 47. In terms of lug-to-lug distance, this guy is ginormous. We're coming in right around 49 lug-to-lug. The lug width on it is solid 22, which is, and this is all in millimeters, by the way. And the diameter of the face itself is a ginormous, about 33 millimeters. So this is, oh, and then thickness-wise, this guy is a chubby freaking bunny here. Looks like we're coming in around 16 millimeters worth of thickness here. So it is a big, big watch. Then finally, this is the Blue Angels Edition. This one looks a little different than most. They usually come in a brown and red sort of color scheme with a different crown on it. This guy has a, not crown, different bezel. This one's the Blue Angels Edition, which is fine. Sure, why not? So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this very interesting little wristwatch here. So on the good side, this is a very featureful watch. It's a quartz watch, which means it's going to be very accurate, very durable, etc. But on top of that, it's got other features. This is an Eco Drive watch. That means there is a solar panel underneath the face of this that keeps it constantly charged. And in fact, you can see right here in the battery life indicator that we are on high charge. This has been exposed to enough light that we have no problems with charging at all, so that's great. Next thing, this is an atomic radio-controlled watch. This has a little antenna inside it that every night around 2 a.m. it listens for a signal from the atomic radio. In the United States, that's based out of Colorado, but there are ones elsewhere in the world, and it can use many bands around the world. And when it does that, it'll try and pick up on the signal. And last time I tried to manually trigger it, it failed, but actually last night it did manage to pick up the signal, so there you go. Before I was messing with it earlier today in preparation for the review. Next thing, it's got some other features too. This dial up top here is a UTC indicator, Universal Time Coordinate, I believe. Either way, it's roughly equivalent to London time, and it's very useful to pilots as well as systems administrators and anybody who needs to work in a universal time zone. This is a 24-hour indicator telling us whether it is AM or PM, which is good. And it also has alarm functions, a timer, a chronograph. See, if I go over here, now I've got a little timer. I put it back in there so I can start a little countdown timer here. See, it's counting down, 5 minutes. Great for tea and whatnot. That's some pretty strong tea, but I like my tea strong. It's got a little chronograph in here so you can actually time things. That's nice. And then you've also got alarms that you can set, and 2 different independent alarms. And so there you go. You got a lot of different features in here packed into this little watch, along with one feature that is kind of very strange, but it's this guy on the outside here. This is actually a slide rule. And a slide rule is basically an old-school mechanical sort of calculator that is able to do basic math and actually more complicated math as well. So, for instance, if you wanted to figure out, you know, if you want to figure out, okay, I got to go 19 kilometers, what's that in miles? Well, right there, that's a little less than 12 miles because I aligned 19 with kilometers here. And there's a whole great website talking about what you can do with a slide rule, but it's actually, it's a surprisingly useful thing. You can do basic math, you can do tip calculations. You can do multiplication, division. They're surprisingly handy, although, let's be real here, we've all got phones with calculators too. So it's nerdy, but it is kind of a cool thing. But anyways, so it's got lots of features. Next thing, it is a very, very good watch for travel because it is very easy to adjust the time zone. So let's say that I get in the plane and I go from my home time zone, which is New York City, well, technically, I'm in Michigan, but it's still Eastern time. But then I fly to, say, San Diego or something like that. I can go to this, and then all I need to do to change my main time to do that is I just press both buttons at once. And as you can see here, my hour button adjusts. I've not lost the accuracy of my seconds hand or anything like that. And so now the New York City time zone where I'm in is in this window, and the hands are showing the actual, the time where I would be right then in L.A. So, or San Diego, whatever. So that's kind of nice, and it supports all kinds of different time zones. So even the ones that use 30-minute or 15-minute offsets, those are supported too. That's great. Next thing, this actually has surprisingly good Loom. The luminous compound. Here, I'll charge it off camera with a big, powerful flashlight here. But you can see, yeah, this has got some pretty stellar Loom. Overnight, this is absolutely completely legible. And even with all the crap on the dial, frankly, it's more legible at night. But even with all the crap on the dial, it is relatively, they have all of these various indicators, all the indices loomed. It's great in that way. So I appreciate very much that. The Loom on this guy is solid. And it also happens to have, hold on, I've gone into some mode or another here. What the heck mode am I in, guys? There we go. You also happen to have the light here. Oh, come on. Did I disable the light or something? Ay, ay, ay. Guys, this is a little complicated. Let's be real here. There we go. There's the light. I must have turned it off or something in one of the million modes. But anyways, you also have a backlight so you can read the second time zone at night as well. So that's neat here. Sneak preview. So there you go. Next thing, the bracelet on this guy is nice, and it's kind of a complicated bracelet in that you can see here it has multiple pieces and it's got different segments that align well. It is comfortable enough. There's no problem with it. And on the wrist, you know, it works pretty nicely with one exception we'll talk about later on. But it's a solid bracelet. It's not grabbing hairs. It works well. There's no concern with the bracelet there. Then finally, this watch is water resistant to 200 meters, despite being all fancy aerospace electronic-y. That is a great thing, just because it means that you don't have to think about water with this guy. You jump in the pool, no freaking problem. This is a watch that it's just, you don't even have to question it. So, to me at least, all of those are the good things here. It is 200 meters water resistant. It has a bracelet that works very well by and large. It's got great Loom, slide rule. It's very, very good for travel, and it is very, very featureful, and I won't go back through the list again. To me, though, what is truly great about this watch is that it is profoundly low in effort. What I mean by that is that there are watches that you have to baby. Any mechanical watch is in this domain because, well, you have to make sure that the time is accurate because it will drift over time. You have to make sure it's kept wound, or at least you're wearing it on a regular basis. This guy, however, is completely, you don't have to think about any of that because it is solar charging. If you just leave it on the windowsill, it'll stay charged and it'll run for, well, a long, long time until something fails in there. It is also going to set itself automatically using the atomic radio, which means that you're always going to have the correct date. You're always going to have the correct, well, frankly, time. And no matter, as long as it knows what time zone you're in, it will be perfectly correct whenever you put it onto your wrist here. And it is very easy to change time zones without affecting the accuracy, etc. So this is, I think, a very, very nice little option here. I'll switch it back to New York so I don't get confused here. But anyways, this is a very, very nice watch if you just want something on your wrist that you don't even have to think about ever, and will just tell you the proper time and allow you to travel and whatnot. So, to me at least, that's what's great, is that this is a profoundly low-effort piece with very little that can actually concern you or that you have to worry about with it. On the bad side, first off, holy busy dial Batman. I mean, this has a bunch of crap on the dial. Some of it is necessary, I would say. These displays is super necessary. And it is a pilot's watch, so having a secondary time zone totally makes sense. But some of this is completely needless. Some of the extra writing here, they could have just put Citizen Skyhawk there. They don't need to do all this. They don't need radio control, Blue Angels. They don't need all the crap on the inside there. I mean, guys, calm down. Seriously. And then things like, for instance, having a 24-hour dial. This is something that I've never super understood. You look outside, if it's dark and it's 10 o'clock, then guess what? It's night. If you look outside and it's light and it's 10 o'clock, guess what? It's day. I don't need that dial. And similarly, the power reserve indicator is fine over here that tells you what the battery life is, but I don't see any reason. That's not something you need to check on a regular basis. You've got a power reserve of like 6 months. So I don't see any reason why that couldn't be one of the functions that's built into the digital display. If they just give me a percentage when I ask for it, that's fine. But having that extra dial there, I don't freaking get it. What I will say, though, is that actually wearing this watch for a while, I very quickly got to look past that. The hands are very large, they are very white, they are very different from the rest of it. And so it is not a watch that is particularly hard to read. Once you're used to all the other stuff that's going on the dial here, you can look down at a glance and tell what time it is without any trouble. It's not like it's illegible for being hard to, have all this stuff on there, but it is, well, there's a lot of stuff on there. And especially compared to watches which can do the same basic things like the aerospace here. We can do so in a slightly more minimalist manner. Holy crap. Next thing, this is a huge freaking watch. In every dimension, in terms of size, in terms of weight, in terms of width and thickness and everything. This is just big. I mean, okay, weight-wise, we're coming in here at, let's see, configured for my relatively small wrists, coming in at 6.01 ounces. We compare that to the Omega Planet Ocean, which comes in at 6.9 ounces. This is a really beefy watch, and similarly, it's very, very thick, which is, well, kind of understandable given everything in there. But a smaller watch, for instance, the Aquaterra here, if we put that on, adjusted to the same wrist, comes in at 4.1 ounces. That's a very big difference, and so that's something that I'm not super in love with. Then finally, on the bad side, this is a very spendy watch. You're going to pay someplace between $500 and $600 for this guy, generally speaking. Given the amount of complexity in here, given all the programming and such, I'm not super out of base. And considering that, for mechanical watches, what are you getting for $500, $600? Not a whole hell of a lot. It's not bad, but it is a lot of freaking money. And some folks are never going to spend that much on quartz. I consider those folks crazy, mind you, but they're out there. So anyways, to me, that is what's bad about this guy, is that it is very expensive. It is huge. It is heavy. It has a very busy dial, although you can get past that pretty quickly. On the ugly front, unfortunately, there's a lot of ugly here, and so let's just go into it. First off, the crystal on this guy is a mineral crystal. It is not a sapphire crystal. And look, mineral crystal will work fine. It will protect the watch. The problem is it will take scratches much more readily than sapphire. But the bigger problem here is that at this price point, you are not allowed to cut corners, and that is a cut corner. In a quartz watch, that is, well, frankly, in any freaking watch. But that is a huge cut corner. I mean, seriously, Citizen, no, not at this price. You are not allowed to charge $500 for a watch and not put sapphire on it. I'm sorry, no. Next thing, the bracelet on this guy, although it's a comfortable bracelet and it's got a lot of joy to it, there is no adjustability to this bracelet at all, short of adding or removing links. It's not even like you've got a quick adjust sort of mechanism with tools, for instance, like on this Monte here, where you can slide the pin back and forth. Nope. All you have is the one adjustment. They could have there's even room for them to drill a second hole and allow a tooled quick adjust to give you a little bit more space, but they didn't freaking drill that hole. That is so ugly. I mean, this is just not okay, guys. It is 2018. We can do better with bracelets. Even if you're not willing to offer a toolless quick adjust system like you've got on the Planet Ocean here, where you can very easily adjust the bracelet size, this is just completely and totally lazy. And it's $600 for a watch with a mineral crystal. No, I'm sorry. They need to do better on the bracelet. They need to make these fit people's wrists. So that sucks. But then the thing that is worst of all about this, and the thing that, as I got to know this watch, I sit down, I'm looking through the manual, I'm getting everything set up. The thing that was just really, really ugly and disappointing and frustrating is that there are serious flaws with how this was designed that make me wonder whether the interface designer actually ever wore the damn thing. To start with, okay, this is a watch where you will want to change the modes. To access some of the functions, you'll need to do like timer, chronograph, etc. But to access those modes, you need to pull the crown out. But the problem is, the crown is not actually accessible. The only way you can pull this crown out is from the bottom of it. And the problem is, this watch is going to be on your wrist. And so unless you happen to have incredibly strong fingernails and small fingers to get up underneath there somehow, you need to take this watch off, or at least get it into this state here, in order to be able to pull off the damn crown, in order to be able to change the damn mode. So practically speaking, you cannot change modes while wearing this watch. That's really ugly to start with. Next thing, unrelated, but also really ugly. This dial in the top here, this is a UTC dial. Look, that's fine. For a lot of people, UTC is a useful complication to have. But this is a digital watch. This is this is a quartz watch computer controlled with separate independent motors. Why do you have this locked to UTC? Why is it not the case that I can't change this to represent any time zone I would like? To have my second time zone be up here no matter what else is going on. If I'm in chrono mode, for instance, why can't this little guy up here also represent the time at my alternate time zone? Why not? Tell me, guys, why not? Or at least let me put the 24-hour dial to something else. My life would be a lot easier with this watch if I could, for instance, just to give you a good use case. Let's say that I live in the New York time zone, but I work very regularly with somebody in, say, I don't know, freaking Hong Kong. There you go. I work very regularly with somebody in Hong Kong. This is fine. A lot of people go in this route. And so what I might do is leave Hong Kong set over here. But again, I lose track of what time it is in Hong Kong the moment I switch out of those things. But then the worse than that, let's say I just want to leave it in this way. For instance, I show my home time on the hands and then show the away time in a digital form. Now I can't see the date anymore. Well, you're thinking, but Nick, there's the date calendar thing over here. Well, yeah, that's true. But the problem is, it is showing me the date in that second time zone. Since right now it's early in the morning, and so it's actually the same time the same day in Hong Kong as it is here in the Eastern time zone. But that is really, really stupid. The fact that it will not show me the date where I am, it'll show me the date where this is. Anytime I ask it for the date, that's awful. And frankly, it's stupid as heck that I can't see the date and the time in Hong Kong because this is a seconds indicator. The seconds don't change. Seconds are not different in Hong Kong than they are right here. Guys, come on. I mean, seriously. And so, unfortunately, what this means is that if you have it set for a second time zone that you want to have quickly accessible, you are not able to use the date function because the date function will reflect that second time zone rather than where you are. This may not be a problem if your second time zone is like an hour ahead of you or something, but guys, what are you freaking thinking? In what world does it make sense to have it that way? And so you have a watch where the majority of the time, although it's a multi-time zone watch, in order to use the damn date, you need to have both time zones set to your home time so that the date reflects the time. Come on, guys, what are you thinking? I mean, you could even put the date over here in your home time zone and over here in your away time zone when you're in calendar. I don't get... This is a solvable problem. And unfortunately, all of these things, the fact that your date is limited to the second time zone, that you can't show both the date and the second time zone, even if you want to do that, the UTC dial is locked to actual UTC rather than the second time zone that you can set in here, even if you're going to be seeing the date, whatever. And then you need to pull the crown to change the mode to be able to see the date or the second time zone, which requires you to take off the watch. This is just stupid. This is a watch that has so much freaking potential. It is loaded with functionality. This watch is smarter than I am some days, but it has been designed by somebody who is just unfathomably dumb when it comes to user experience design. And it is mostly, as a result, a watch that is super functional, but super cosmetic, because none of the functionality is allowed to actually work by this stupid design. This drives me crazy, and it was a major disappointment. It was like I bought this watch thinking, oh, I'm going to have all these functions, but these stupid decisions mean that I don't really have those functions, and that really made me sad. And so, to me at least, that is really, really ugly, is that this is a watch that appears to be loaded with functionality, but stupid decisions mean that it's not actually as functional as it should be. And then it's got no bracelet adjustability, it's using a mineral crystal, and just to top it all off, when you buy a Citizen watch, then you try and sell it, you lose a bunch of money if you paid retail. So that all is the ugly, and that's That's kind of defining this guy, because ultimately, final conclusion, this is a great watch at one level. It's got lots of features, lots of smarts. It is very, very low effort with great loom, great water resistance. This is a watch I would love to be able to recommend. And there are some issues that are very fixable here. I mean, they could definitely make this dial a little less busy, lean on these digital displays a little more. They could fix the mineral crystal, swap it to the sapphire they should have put in there to begin with. And they could have added a bracelet adjustment or just a better clasp that allows that, ideally with a toolless quick adjust kind of system. And it is still going to absolutely be expensive. This much functionality, sure. But the thing is, somebody needs to get fired over at Citizen. Because this is a great watch that was completely handicapped by a few really silly user experience flaws. And it makes me suspect that whoever designed this thing didn't actually ever wear it. They took a watch that has the potential to be a hugely useful tool for travelers and pilots, and they turned it into a fashion accessory by making dumb choices. And it's not like it's due to a lack of complication. I'm not asking for it to do something entirely new. I don't want more displays. I don't want more features. I just want the features that they've got in there to work correctly. And this is just bad decisions were made. And we can contrast this with, for instance, the Breitling Aerospace. This is a much more expensive watch by a substantial margin. This costs about 6 times as much as this guy does. The thing is, the Breitling Aerospace does these things better, frankly. So, for instance, on the Aerospace, you can show your local time digitally. You can do an alarm. You can do a chronograph. And you don't have to change, you don't have to take it off your wrist, because all you need to do is rotate the crown to change your modes here. You can have a timer here. You can have a second time zone. Right now, this is showing me the time in Australia. This guy's showing me. I mean, and it's a lot less complex. You look down at this, and this is just a wristwatch, but it's doing all the same things without all the crazy crap around there. And it's not because it's pricey that it's better. It's because it's well designed. I'm sorry. This just... yeah. And so this watch, if it were designed more intelligently, with a class worth a damn, with a way to switch modes without removing it, and with all of the little tweaks that could make this decent, would be one of the very best travel tools on the market, and absolutely a freaking gem. But as it is, done over in the way that it has been by some awful UI designer, this is a watch with a very unique aesthetic, which requires very little effort, but more than anything represents just huge missed opportunity, and it is living proof of why thoughtful user experience design is absolutely crucial with any tool, wristwatches included. So, Citizen, please, you can fix this. Fire that guy, get somebody in there to actually wear the watch and fix this. You will have an incredible watch on your hand. But until you do, you're killing me over here. So there you go. That's the Skyhawk. Oh, so close yet so far. All right. Hope this has been interesting to you. That I saved you from hawking some other watch to buy one of these, and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I need a drink. Bye now.